Governments can and are colluding with these corporate agents to develop a picture not only of our actions, but of our thoughts and words. The development of a digital identity and currency is nothing more than the likely end consequence of such inclinations, and the combination of both can and will facilitate the development of a surveillance state, the likes of which has not yet been experienced.
We're good to go?
Yeah, you're ready.
Okay, perfect. Essentially, what happened is I stumbled across a Facebook post. I'm barely ever on Facebook. The one day I happened to be online, I was scrolling my timeline, and I saw a post, a screenshot from a family friend. As of the 15th of July, 2025, Commonwealth Bank will have phased out all ATMs in Queensland, which is my home state. I wasn't born there, but that's where I lived pretty much my whole life up until I moved to the United States. We here at Commonwealth Bank look forward to what a cashless society will bring to Australia.
Imagine a time when cash is no longer accepted at your local shops. Well, it turns out that's already a reality for many.
More than $1 billion worth of notes have disappeared from circulation in the past 12 months. It follows the Commonwealth Bank's decision to start trialling cashless branches across Sydney.
And to put it lightly, guys, I freaked out. There were a couple of thousand people on Instagram that saw my raw, unadulterated reaction. So this is an email that a family friend of mine received, and this is terrifying.
For years, cash was king, but not anymore. In the last year, more than $1.1 billion in cash has disappeared from the economy.
Do you know what it'll bring to Australia? Do you know? Total fucking control.
Once everyone is used to a purely digital payment means they can simply flick a switch to move the monetary system to the blockchain. It also suits the government's move to a central bank digital currency.
We are being steered to a frightening world, a financially dystopian future where the rich and powerful control all.
Don't worry, there's just no cash in this bank.
No. Why does a bank need cash?
Is there a glitch in the matrix or something going on at the moment? No cash in the bank?
So.
This is bad. This is bad, guys. Fuck. So why are people so concerned? Essentially, this step forward in the direction of a cashless society is actually a giant leap forward in the direction of a tyrannical surveillance state. Just a week ago, Valuetainment dropped a video about China's social credit score. Social credit score is a way of life in China, and it has devastating ramifications for the citizens of that country. We are talking about a version of a credit score that takes into account every single aspect of your life.
If you watch too much porn, you lose points, okay? Jaywalking, smoking on trains, playing too many video games, you lose points.
Really, the scariest part about this is that your political alignment and that the way you feel about one particular party or one particular leader can tremendously impact your score. Imagine posting a meme about Sleepy Joe.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
And then all of a sudden, your social credit score drops a point or two. That score can prevent you from traveling, opening a bank account, or even purchasing a home or a car. In fact, merely being in the presence of somebody who has a low score can actually lower your own score as well. In short, if you do something that the government does not like, they can literally switch off your access to funds. With all this evidence coming out that I'm about to present in this video, I'm personally a little bit freaked out because it seems like this is going to be the next logical step for what's actually taking place in Australia.
This isn't China. Thank God it's not in your country yet, or is it? Because it is kind of getting some elements of it in Australia. Australia has its immigration policy of good character.
Blockchain-based currency is also a programmable currency. Government could theoretically limit your ability to spend your money in any way they want to. And they'd also have total control over your money. Say you get a speeding fine. Wait for the check to go. They can take the cash directly from your account. What if you go to a meeting for the wrong political cause? You could have all your money frozen, for example. Maybe you put something on social media that's deemed unacceptable. Well, it could be more than just your Facebook account that's stopped.
Most of you right now are probably thinking that everything that I've stated so far is highly conspiratorial at best, and at worst, some of you are probably already envisioning me in a tinfoil hat.
Clap. Amy.
Hey, Brendan.
Hello, Amy. How are we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a little bit of a day. In fact, it's been a week,
Really?
to be honest. Yes. But I'm really glad that you're able to sit down with me today. I know I needed to talk to you because you are definitely an encyclopedia of knowledge here at Valuetainment, specifically when it comes to stuff that people would typically label as like conspiratorial. You know, my definition of a conspiracy theory or a conspiracy theorist is typically someone who's just right too early before it becomes obvious to everybody else. So when I say that to you, I mean it with all due respect, you know.
Well, what I would say to people who say it's a conspiracy, I would say that at the G20 summit in 2023, what do you think the most common word used in their report was? You know, I saw the transcript of what they talked about, the thing that's the top 20 countries in the world based on GDP. The most commonly used word was central bank digital currency. So this has the full force of the world's power behind it. That consists of 95% of global GDP of those countries. And the Bank of International Settlements, basically the Federal Reserve for the world, they said that central banks representing 95% of the world's GDP are actively experimenting with central bank digital currency. So this has the full steam of the establishment behind it.
What I didn't mention is there was also a small group of people who reached out to tell me that this article was actually fake.
News. Fake news.
This email was actually fake.
Fake news.
Fake?
News. Fake news. Fake news.
WTF, what the fuck? Well, after tremendous backlash from the Australian public, an article was actually put out to refute the screenshot, stating that this is not and was not ever the plan. This is a fake screenshot, the spokesperson told Yahoo Finance. While we're investing in our digital services, where the majority of customers are engaging with us, we know that access to cash remains important, and we certainly have no plans to phase out ATMs or to stop providing cash. So right now, there is going to be a lot of people in Australia who are going to refute this, who are going to say like, oh no, this isn't happening, or it's happening way off into the future. And what's interesting though is it's literally on the government's website. It says that the future is cashless. It just says that it's going to be happening by like 2030. In 2021, news.com.au wrote an article purporting that Australia would be completely cashless by the year 2024. In the article, they state the reason for the transition as being a near requirement.
Do we pay with card or cash mostly these days? Card only for me.
Card only for me. It's reached the point where 3/4 of Australians are now considered low cash users by the Reserve Bank.
And this is what you would expect. In fact, it's a trend that's long been in the making.
I think that their best shot of really implementing this thing and getting people to go along with it is if they're enticed, right? If they believe that it's something that it's, you know, for their good. It's not something that they're being forced into, but something that's maybe like a logical conclusion of the times, or maybe something that's going to be beneficial for them.
Well, that's how they do it. They seduce you through convenience. You know, they say, come on, you don't want to carry $2,000 in cash around your pocket. That's dangerous. You could get robbed, you could lose it. It's cumbersome. You know, you don't want to have to give somebody a $100 bill to get $97.88 in change. That's annoying. Nobody wants to carry change around. And yeah, it is much more convenient to have a debit card than a wad of cash. And then what's the next logical transition that they're working towards? They want to put a freaking chip in your hand that you scan, and you could have your ATM card on you at all times, basically. But sure, that's super convenient. You could walk out the door without your wallet, even potentially without your cell phone someday, because you could have that all in your hand on your body. But what are the consequences of that? They're dire.
It's a worldwide trend, and there are concerns it hurts disadvantaged customers the most.
Big shift, also a big adjustment for those it most impacts, including seniors and regional communities.
This is a conspiracy. This is really hurting people.
You think it's hurting people?
It is hurting people.
Why?
Immediately. Homeless and strippers.
Some of these regional communities in particular have challenges around internet access. And so, even if you're a grey nomad travelling the length and breadth of the country, If you're going to inland Australia and you're wanting to pay for fuel, well, you've got to have cash with you.
These guys are being very serious about it. The Commonwealth Bank, or CBA, Communist Bank of Australia, has closed 354 branches and more than 2,000 ATMs closed.
The cherry on top of all of this is that the very article that was published to refute these claims is quoted to actually state that in the past 5 years, the bank has closed 354 branches and 2,297 ATMs across the country.
Cash advocates are now calling on the government to make it illegal for businesses not to offer cash as a payment option. A petition currently before Parliament receiving close to 12,000 signatures in support of the right to use cash being protected by law. Cash or card?
Definitely cash.
Do you still use cash to pay for things?
Yes, I do. This is our money at the end of the day, and it's as if the banks are treating us with absolute disdain for wanting us to access it.
Let's kind of do a little bit of a deeper dive here. Where did this whole thing really originate from? And I know that you're very well versed on like the WEF, the World Economic Forum, everything that just took place over there recently. Break that down for me a little bit. Like, is there any overlap between what I'm seeing in Australia right now and what they were talking about at the World Economic Forum?
Oh yeah, complete overlap. What it really boils down to, it's a school of thought that's existed for well over 100 years, and basically that you could create this utopian society under a one world government. Plato referenced it. There was like these phases of people who tried to work towards that, and the latest phase, the Rockefeller family started the Trilateral Commission that was trying to work towards it, and then the WEF is the more public facing face of that. And so the UN and the WEF are kind of working hand in hand to push this through. So what the UN did recently is they started what was called the Net Zero Climate Initiative. So that's where ESG comes in. So the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative is $70 trillion worth of asset managers like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. They all made a pact saying they would invest strictly in companies that are ESG friendly. So think about it, what does that do? So people wonder, why is it that companies are going woke? Why is it they're afraid to make statements that are controversial, do policies that are controversial?
Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud Lights for us.
Well, it's because these companies, these asset managers, they have the ability to starve out these companies from capital. So think about when you control $70 trillion worth of money, you have to invest it somewhere. A company like Bud Light, they could piss off the public and the sales could tank by 90%. But if the flows from BlackRock and the others still keep going steady to that company, then they'll be all right.
Wow, okay. And that makes a lot of sense, because surely some people, when they watch that whole debacle, were thinking, are they completely out of their mind, like alienating their audience? But at the end of the day, follow the money talks, right?
Yeah.
If you kind of had to analyze it, what this means specifically for Australia, because everything is phases of implementation. They can't just roll out a one world government all at once, right?
Right.
When it comes to Australia going cashless and talks about this happening, what do you see being the consequences that can come from this? What is this leading up to?
Yeah, so that's their playbook. It's that they go fast, slow, and they gauge the reactions from it. And the government's constantly looking at the metadata. They'll give a statement, say like cashless society, and then they'll see how people react on social media. If there's complete outrage about it, they'll go and back up a little bit, slow. But then if there's not a lot of outrage, fast. And the consequences of it, as stated in the Bank of International Settlements, they say that it's going to be programmable and tokenized, meaning if you do what they want you to do, make the purchase they want you to do, like electric cars, vegan food, maybe the bugs they want you to eat, then you get a tax break. But if you buy a diesel truck, if you buy steak, you go past your meat limit, then bad, very bad, you get taxed.
A central bank digital currency is the ultimate tool of control. Now, of course, there are other confected crises, and the government's proposed solutions, they're all designed to assert their authority and undermine your autonomy.